What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Today we are back with another video and we're going to be doing a tier list. Yes, we are back with another one. And this tier list is going to be on Harry Potter / Fantastic Beasts movies. Now, I already done a tier list last video on Star Wars, but I wanted to do it on Harry Potter because I haven't actually done an official Harry Potter tier list on this channel before. And yes, I'm a fan of the Harry Potter franchise. So I thought, why not just sit down and rank all these movies, and including the Fantastic Beasts ones, which, yeah, you'll know my opinions on them later on. And also the fact that this is a unique tier list rankings, because this is the first franchise we are doing that is based off the books. Now, normally, the tier list we've done so far, Lego Ninjago, Star Wars, and Marvel, aren't all based off books that came before the movies or series. This is the first one, and I'm going to try and be fair and not do it based on the books, like, in comparison to the books, because I feel like that if I do that, it won't be completely fair. I'm going to be doing it based off movies, because it is a movie tier list, and also I'm not going to be ranking the books, because, once again, I'm not comparing movies with the books, because in my opinion, they're two different topics. And I do have all the books, I have read all the books, but once again, I want to make it as fair as possible, and we're going to be only talking about the movie itself, even though it is obviously based off the books. But before we get into this, hope you guys enjoy, leave a like, subscribe, go to 500, we got in total, I think, like 11 movies here. I'm also only doing this because of the fact that there is going to be a Harry Potter reboot, which I just don't even know why they're rebooting it. They should have probably left it. But hey, you know, they want the money. Obviously, like I said, word of 500, we are currently 39 subs away from that, so it'll be amazing if we finally hit it on YouTube. But I'm going to do this in chronological order of when the movies came out, and also the order of in the series. So I'm going to be also critical, because I'm a Harry Potter fan end of the day, and if you got any other ideas for future tier lists you would like me to do, leave in the comments down below. I'm free to suggestions, if you can't tell. Alright, let's begin. We got Harry Potter, the Sorceress / Philosopher's Stone. I got it. Okay, I'm gonna be completely honest. It is a great movie. It's iconic. It's a great adaptation from the book. Even though I should not mention the books, it is a great adaptation. The casting from this franchise is amazing. I think they got all the characters perfect, including Hagrid. I think the undisputed GOAT in this. So yeah, I think the introduction to Hogwarts pretty cool. I think Diagon Alley, very cool as well. I think it's great because it shows us a lot in this movie, as well as it sets up things that can come back in later movies. And I do have one issue with this movie though, and I do think it is the villain in this. Like I said, I'm doing it based off the movie, but I just don't like Professor Squirrel. I was going to call him Squirrel. Professor Quirrell as the villain with Voldemort in his head. I just didn't like that in the back of his head. I just found it weird. To be honest, I think the movie did it well to make us think that Snape was the villain and that he was going to be the villain or bad guy in this movie. To obviously do the twist that he wasn't, and he was actually kind of a good guy. It's cool. I think as well, they made the Dursleys like annoying on purpose, similar to the books. Obviously, they tease Voldemort as a great threat, and how he's obviously connected to Harry Potter by killing his parents. The obviously iconic origin story of Harry Potter. And honestly, I think this movie is a great start to a 9 to an 7 to an 8 movie franchise. And for that reason, I'm going to put it in the S tier. But yeah, this is like the new hope of Star Wars, in my opinion. That it's like, if you're doing it based on a movie, it's like alright, but like if you're doing it based on the impact it had, it's got to be S tier. Like, come on. Okay, alright, next up we got Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Now, this is in my top 3 favourite Harry Potter movies. I really enjoyed this movie. I think, obviously, having it be a great follow-up from the previous movie, or the previous year of their first year. This is their second year. Obviously, we got a lot of new things. The whole thing with the introduction of Dobby was pretty funny. We also had Lockhart in the movie, which I did not like one bit. I'm sorry, but I just didn't like him. And then, who else did we have? We also had Tom Riddle be the villain. Now, he was an interesting villain. I think he was a better villain than the Voldemort we got in the first one. I also like the whole thing about the whole snake. Going around petrifying students and showing. Also, I like the lore we got. We got some more lore backstory to Tom Riddle, which actually is Voldemort. I think that. I thought I did Tom something Riddle. There was a scene in Harry Potter where Tom Riddle writes his name out and then it moves the letters around and it spells out Voldemort, which was pretty cool. But obviously, I think it's a great second movie. It is my top 3 for a reason, and I just think it's a fun movie. For that, I'm gonna put it in A tier. Yeah. Next up, we got Prisoner of Azkaban, Harry Potter, the third movie, the third installment in the franchise. Now, this movie, compared to the previous two, had more of a darker tone. It was more dark, more serious. Well, I'm not making a pun because of Sirius Black, but I'm not the biggest fan of this movie, and to be honest, I see this as a filler movie to just pass time in between, I think, the second and the fourth, with the whole Voldemort saga. I think they just wanted to do a book, I know I should be mentioning the book, but I think they just wanted to do a book that wasn't Voldemort involved. I don't know if they wanted to do that as an experiment to see if it would sell the same, or if it's because they wanted to keep Voldemort out of this story. But obviously he obviously has been mentioned, but he was not featured in this installment. Because instead, we got Sirius Black and we got Lupin, which, don't get me wrong, Lupin is probably my favourite teacher they had at Hogwarts. I think he's goated, apart from the fact he is a werewolf. But they also got the guy who was Ron's rat, which, yeah. So basically the whole story is this prisoner, who breaks out of the prison called Azkaban. I know I'm just dissecting the title, but he basically escaped, because he was originally put in prison because he got framed for leaking the address of Harry Potter's parents, because yes, you have to involve Harry Potter into this somehow, but basically during the time where Harry Potter's parents were hiding from Voldemort, they accused Sirius Black of being the one ratting out the location of where they lived, which obviously led to their deaths. And then he tried to go after the guy that actually did it, which ended up being Ron the Rat, caused a big commotion, and then got arrested for it. And then in this movie, he got freed. Well, he escaped. Because he can transform into an animal. And because he's part of the group called the Marauders. And everyone in that group, including Harry Potter's dad, can all turn into animals. And Lupin as well was one of them. And the fact was he was a werewolf. And all three of them all face off, including Snape. Because Snape as well, he wasn't part of the Marauders, but he got bullied by them back at school. So, yeah. That's just a little info on this movie. Obviously, once again, I like the fact it's giving us more lore and history of Harry Potter, which is always good to give lore in a franchise. But I don't really like the fact it's just a filler. I see it as a filler. Like, this and I think the Half-Blood, I don't, like this and the actually I'm not going to go on to what other movies I didn't like, but I think this is going to be one of the movies that I wouldn't really watch if I had to pick. It'd probably be low on the list of movies I'd watch. So I'm going to put it in the C tier. We are now doing my favourite movie on the franchise. If I can find it. Which one is it? Is it that one? I'm gonna do a random guess. I think this one's the fourth one. So I'm gonna do that as the fourth one. If I'm wrong, we move it after. But we got Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. My favourite movie in this whole franchise is the Goblet of Fire. So first of all, get that up to S tier now. This was an amazing book. Well, not a book. This is an amazing film. First of all, we had to try with the tournament, which is basically a challenge where 4 schools come together to compete in a tournament, which Harry Potter somehow gets his name involved in. Yep, because everything revolves around Harry. And they had to do several challenges, and then they win a cup. And then, spoiler alert, the final task, he gets the trophy, but it wasn't the actual trophy, it was the transportation device thing, where they can make any object transport you anywhere. And that transported him right to the guy from the third movie. And this movie resurrected the Lord Voldemort, which was awesome. Oh my god. And he killed Cedric. Oh no. Also, as well, Mad-Eye Moody, also pretty cold character. I'm not gonna lie, this movie, thinking about it now, was actually really good. I really liked it. And I'm gonna say it now, it is the best. I don't know if it's because of the movie, but I do think it is the best out of every movie or book in this franchise. So, yeah. Now we're going to be doing Order of the Phoenix. And to be honest, I don't know how they were able to make the movie. If you see the actual book for this, story, it's the biggest book I've ever seen. It's probably bigger than a dictionary. And that's got, all the words. But, this book is big. And to be honest, it is kind of, because a lot does happen in this book. We get introduced to the most annoying character, I think, in Harry Potter history, Professor Umbridge. Yeah. So basically, it obviously shows the effects of the last movie of Voldemort coming back, but no one believes him. Harry, even though there's a guy that died, but they still think, it's not real. Just something stupid, to be honest. We also just get... I think it's a nice movie, even though a lot of it is just basically focusing on trying to get rid of Professor Umbridge. And to be honest, fair enough, because she is annoying throughout the movie. And I'm happy she got what she got in the movie. I do like this movie. I think it is a solid movie. It feels like filler a bit at times, but to be honest, I do think it is better than the movie, the Prisoner of Azkaban, because I feel like it's still related to the story. Plus, also, you need to remember, Voldemort and Dumbledore faced off for the first time. Oh, that was peak cinema. Even though it wasn't for long, we got to see two fucking powerhouses fighting out, so we have to give it credit on that front. That's why I'm going to put it in... Oh no, that's Half-Blood Prince. That's why I'm going to put it in B tier. It deserves a B tier. 100%. Now we're going to be doing the 6th movie, which is The Half-Blood Prince. Now, I'm not going to say it's a filler, not a filler. I'm not going to say it's a filler, because of the fact that Dumbledore dies in this movie. Spoilers, sorry. But it feels kind of the most... Like, I'm not going to lie. This is probably the least... Like, there's only one thing I remember about this movie, and it's at the end. But this movie does feel different to the other ones, because it does feel like the characters lose in this movie. With obviously the effect of Dumbledore dying by Professor Snape. And I can't lie, it's sad Dumbledore died, but he kind of, I think they kind of had to kill him, in the sense that they needed to make it more Harry v Voldemort, and with Dumbledore there, I feel like it would make it too unfair for Voldemort if Dumbledore was still alive. So they had to kill off Dumbledore, which was sad, but I like it was mainly I like it focused on that duo of Harry and Dumbledore, and that's good, because then it really hit us when Dumbledore obviously died, after them two had like a duo throughout the movie. But honestly, it's an alright movie. I think it is on the same level, maybe a little bit above Prisoner of Azkaban. I'll put it on the middle of these two, in my opinion. Yeah. Okay, here we go. We got now the Deathly Hallows Part 1 and Part 2. Now, this is the last book in the franchise, and they split it up into 2 movies, because it is the final one, so they had to make it as much money as they can from it. Because after this, they have no other source material to feed off from. Actually, I'm wrong, because the Fantastic Beasts ended up happening. So, what did I think of the Deathly Hallows Part 1 and Part 2? We'll start off with Part 1. Part 1 was mainly a setup movie for Part 2. Duh. But, obviously, this movie's central around the fact they had to go and look for the Horcruxes, because if they destroy the Horcruxes, they can kill Voldemort, and yeah, that's what they basically spend the whole movie doing, and then obviously they killed off the boy Dobby, R.I.P. my guy, died, sad. I like obviously the whole fight. The whole Manor fight. The Draco Malfoy's the Malfoy's Manor fight at the end was pretty cool. And honestly, it was basically a movie about them on the run. It was like them on the run from basically everyone, which was cool. Obviously, focused on the main 3 trio. First movie not in Hogwarts. And, yeah, honestly, it was good. And then the final movie in the franchise. You know, bro, get your ass up there. The movies that end off. The whole Harry Potter franchise ended at this movie. Bro, it's absolute cinema. This movie is absolute cinema. I'm not even lying. It is absolute cinema. And obviously we got the final battle between Harry and Voldemort, which is the sickest thing everywhere. The Battle of Hogwarts, probably one of the greatest battles in the whole franchise. Maybe because it was the final one, but honestly, where it ended, it was perfect. I think this was perfect, and I felt like if it wasn't for the next 3 movies, it would have been the perfect franchise. And if you want to know a comparison, the Deathly Hallows Part 2, the way it ended is basically the way Return of the Jedi it was before The Force Awakens. To be honest, if I was the Harry Potter directors, I think what I would have done with this movie is... what I would have done is, instead of making the Fantastic Beasts franchise and going a whole new direction, I would have done maybe a future of maybe Harry Potter's children, similar to what they did with Star Wars sequel trilogy, but obviously not like the Star Wars sequel trilogy, because that was awful. But in my opinion, I would absolutely do that. I think make a Star Wars... I would have made a Harry Potter, like, maybe not as many movies as obviously the original, but maybe like a trilogy of just the Harry Potter future with like all the kids and stuff. But to be honest, then they would have to find a villain, and I don't know how that work. But anyways, we're moving on to the Fantastic Beasts. Now, I've put off these 3 movies for a while, and it only took me I think 2023, maybe last year, to actually watch all of these, and that was because I'm a completionist. When I start a franchise, I want to watch everything related to the franchise, even though it's not really a Harry Potter title, but these are obviously the prequels to Harry Potter. And don't get me wrong, Johnny Depp as Grindelwald, who is basically the Voldemort before Voldemort. Great fucking villain. Obviously, they couldn't really do much with him. I think after the second, or for future movies, because of the whole Amber Heard thing. But when he was there, he did his part. So let's do this. Alright, we're going to start off with the first movie. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of the first movie in the franchise. So, I'm going to be honest. It's a D tier. Fantastic Beasts. It's just obviously the whole point of this, similar to the first Harry Potter movie, is to just introduce us to the characters, introduce us to the universe that is set in, around the time period it's set in, and it follows Newt Scamander and his, I don't even know what is, like, plant thing, I don't even know. But honestly, I'm going to be honest, it's a good movie. Now, the second movie, it's not the greatest movie. It is kind of boring, to be honest. Alright, second movie. Crimes of Grindelwald. I like the ending. I can't lie. The ending to this movie, the final, scene of, Grindelwald's being, going as, a powerful leader was pretty cool, in my opinion. And for that reason, I'm going to put it in B tier. Yeah. And then we got The Secret of Dumbledore. The movie that introduced us to the young Albus Dumbledore. I think it was this movie. It was either this movie. Sorry, no. It was mainly focused on Grindelwald and Dumbledore, but it wasn't Grindelwald. Dumbledore was introduced, I think, in the second movie. Sorry, that's my bad. On the continuity. But this was cool. I'm going to put this also in B tier. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my tier list of the Harry Potter and Fantastic Beasts franchise. If you guys have not already, though, leave a like, subscribe. We're on the way to 500. I know there's going to probably be a lot of why'd you put this tier? Why'd you put this on that tier? Honestly, I don't really care, okay? I do whatever I think is the best for the franchise. Nah, I'm joking. But overall, I think it's a good tier list. I think it's a fair tier list. But overall, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like, subscribe if you have not already. We're on the way to 500, and peace.